Hi there, welcome to this short tutorial on using Maybe Prime Minister, a new PowerPoint game from Tutor2U aimed at AS Government and Politics students. It's a nice meaty activity, lasts between 45 minutes and an hour, and would be used early on in the academic year, introducing concepts like democracy, political participation, party policies and their ideas. It doesn't require any particular prior understanding, so it might be useful as well as a taster session if you like. Okay, just before we start, when you get the PowerPoint file and open it, you'll be asked to enable macros. Please make sure you do that, otherwise the resource won't work properly. Two things just before you actually start the activity with your students. You need to split your class into 5 different teams. They're going to be representing these different colours here, and also you're going to need to give them printouts of the student worksheets. If I just exit out of the main presentation, I'll show you those. Here we go, slide 16 and 17. I'll just do a full screen view of slide 17 for you. This is the main worksheet students are going to need, a list of 28 possible policies that their Prime Minister could implement, and then a table for them to record the outcomes. Okay then, back to the first slide. We've separated our class into the 5 different teams, given them a colour. Let's explain what they're going to be doing. So here's the instructions. They're working as a team of advisors for a political party, and there's about to be a general election in 12 weeks' time. They're going to advise the party leader on the best set of policies to get enough support to win that election. As the game goes on, we've got a set of really useful data that tells us how well our campaign is going, separated into these 5 categories. The most important at the top there is how capable do people feel the party leader would be as the leader of the government, and then how capable are they at running the economy? Do they have a clear long-term vision for the future of the UK? Can they be trusted to spend public money wisely? And then finally, can they be trusted with a successful foreign policy? They're going to choose one policy each week out of the 28 available, and they're going to give those policies to you, but they can't choose the same policy more than once. Each time they give you a policy number, you're going to input it into the computer, and their scores are going to change, and it can have a variation of between -4 and +4 for each of those 5 categories that we've mentioned before. So the economy, vision, public spending and foreign policy, and then how capable the Prime Minister is. The party leader capability score doesn't count to the overall score. However, it is really important. If people don't feel as if the party leader is capable of running the government, they won't vote for him or her. So ultimately, that number has to stay above 0. People have to have some confidence in the party leader as Prime Minister. The other 4 categories get added together to form what we're going to call the polling score. Should there be a tie at the end of the game, the team with the highest polling score is the winning team, but if there is a tie, the highest polling score plus the highest party leader capability score will be declared the winner. However, just before we start, we're going to give an advantage to one team. One team is going to be selected as the incumbent party, the incumbent Prime Minister. And that person is going to be given an extra 2 points to their leader capability score, trying to mimic a little bit real life, where the incumbent Prime Minister has a slightly better chance of winning the election because people know what they're like and have some record to go upon. So the first thing that happens is one of the 5 teams is randomly selected to be the incumbent Prime Minister. At the moment, the teams don't know which one that is, and in fact, none of us know because it's selected randomly. Okay, let's just do that. Let's start the game by doing that. Go back right to the beginning. We'll click here to start. We'll click to start a new game. Yes, we do want to start a brand new game, and the Prime Minister and the incumbent party is selected, and here we have it, the orange team. The orange team here are the incumbent team, and they will get an extra 2 points on their Prime Minister capability score. Click to start game. This takes us to the main teacher interface. There we have our 5 different teams, currently with a 0 score. However, in terms of a capability, notice there that orange have that extra 2 where the other teams don't. Okay then, So we're ready to actually get going with the game. We've sent our students away. They're looking through their 28 policies on their worksheets. The first time they do that, that'll be the longest time they'll spend thinking about the individual policies. Might take them 5, might take them 10 minutes to have a real good read through those 28 policies and make a decision about which they think is going to be the most popular. As soon as one team is ready though, invite them up to the front of the class, invite them to where you're sat with the computer to have their policy inputted. What you must make sure you do though, of course, is you don't show the rest of the class what's going on now. So you're going to have to switch your screen off, you're going to have to switch the projector off so that the whole class can't see you input the policy numbers. Let's imagine blue team then have come up and they've said, right, we're ready, let's input our policies. Let's go to the blue team's screen. Here it is. Here's our strategy numbers. We're going to click on one of those in a second. Let's imagine blue team say they want to go with strategy policy number 27, which from their worksheet tells them it's increase the number of houses built on greenbelt land. Once we click on this 27 here, this number 27, all of these numbers here will change. So the capability score, the economy, the vision, the spending and the international score. I say they'll all change. It all depends on a grid of numbers, which I'll show you later on, has been inputted by a teacher. Some of them may remain the same. Some of them will change. Some of them may go into minus numbers. These four here then, economy, vision, spending and international, will be added up. And that gives us our polling score. However, this number up the top then, the Prime Minister's capability must be above 0. If it's 0 or less, the polling score will also be 0. It doesn't matter what they look like. All right, let's have a look. 27 then, how does that change things? So it's seen as being very good for the economy, not particularly visionary, good for public spending, but perhaps unpopular abroad. And actually, it's given us a -1 Prime Minister capability score. So hence why overall our polling score remains 0. So that was blue team. We can go back to the main screen, and what we've got here is showing us blue team have given us something for week 1, and we know that the other teams are yet to do the same. So let's imagine purple team come up next, and they say, right, we're going to go with policy number 15, introduce more legislation to improve equal rights and pay. So we'll click on the number 15. That changes our scores a little bit there. This time the Prime Minister is being seen as being capable. They've got a positive number 1. Good for the economy, sound vision, good on the international front, perhaps not a wise spending of public money. Add these 4 together, so +3 -1 gives us 2. So back to our poll screen, and there we have it. Purple now have got a score of 2. And we do that making sure that all 5 teams go before we move on to week 2. So I'm just going to fill in the next 3 teams very, very quickly. Imagine team, the red team went with policy number 9. Imagine the grey team went with policy number 12. And then imagine the orange team went with policy number 21. And there we have the scores at the end of week 1. And what I'd do here is I'd put my projector back on and show all of the class that at the moment the red team are in the lead. We'll also talk a little bit about capability. So week 1 done. Okay, then what I've done now is I've fast forwarded through this game. I've gone through 8 weeks with each of the 5 teams just to speed up this tutorial. So you can see what's happening after 8 weeks now. Actually, the blue team are in the lead with a polling score of 8. Let's just have a look at their overall score there. So there's their overall score of 8. Internationally, they're not seen as particularly good, but their other scores on the economy, vision for the future and spending are all very good, and the Prime Minister's capability is seen as a positive number. So I'm going to keep going through each of the teams until we've got to our 12th week. Okay, I've fast forwarded again. We're now on to the final week. We've been through 11 weeks, and here is our score after 11 weeks. Red team and orange team doing particularly badly, I'm afraid. Orange team in the end, their Prime Minister capability has been seen as very, very weak, and that's why their score is so low. However, our top two teams, blue and purple, are very close. So it's very exciting going into the last week and the last choice, and we'll see who wins. Now, what I would do with this very final week is I'd ask the teams to come up, as they have been doing all the time, to give you a policy number, but this time I won't tell them their overall score. Just keep that suspense going a little bit longer. So let's imagine they're doing that now. Let's input the final score. Let's imagine blue team go with policy number 25, reduce the scope of the provision of the BBC. So let's click that, see what happens there. Their polling score remains the same. Red teams, I'll just input for red, grey, and then orange. Orange got a nice score at the end. And then can purple come up with one more score just to beat the blue team? So let's imagine they go with policy number 17, introduce identity cards into the UK. What happens there? Oh dear, their polling score goes down. Let's go back to the final set of scores. Now then, here's a very interesting situation in our final set of scores. Let's put this back up through the projector so the whole class can see. Actually, we have a tie. The blue team and the orange team come right from the back in the last policy choice. They both have a polling score of 8. However, because the blue team have a higher Prime Minister capability score of 3 compared to the orange's score of 1, remember they started with a +2 on that score, that means the overall winner of this game is the blue team. Well done to the blue team. Okay, so blue team are the winning team, but just before I finish, let me show you something behind this whole activity that makes it really, really powerful. I'll just escape out of the PowerPoint slideshow for a second. I'm going to show you slide 3. And here we have a table of information here that is really, really useful. So we've got all of our policies written down there in that final column, and each of the other columns shows the score that's been attributed to each of those policies under the different categories there. Now this is just a simple table that exists within that slide there. So you can change that to whatever you want them to be. So if you don't agree with the scores attributed to the policies by the teacher who's done this, you can change them to whatever you want to. Also, you can change these policies to whatever you want them to be. So they're very centered around some of the up-to-date policies that have been going on over the last few months. So you may want to change those as well. Once you've done those changes, you click on this button here, click here to edit. Not only does it change the whole game then, but also going back to that student worksheet there, it will change the policies that are on the student worksheet as well. So you can change the scores, you can change the policies. And finally, the most powerful way we've seen a game like this used before is if actually you give this table over to a group of your students. Say you've got some really able students and you want to try and push them and try and give them an activity which really gets them to think about things. Give them this table. Get them to change the policies, get them to change the scores depending on what they think they should be. So a really powerful way to use this overall resource. There you go then. Tutorial on maybe Prime Minister. I hope you found that useful.